Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to break down what is, without a doubt, the absolute core skill of management: making great decisions. And let's be clear, this isn't some abstract art form you're born with. No, it's a skill, something you can learn, practice, and genuinely master.
Go on, take just a second to think about that. It's really easy to fixate on those huge, dramatic, company-changing choices, right? But the truth is, decision-making is more like the constant, quiet hum in the background of any organization. It shapes absolutely everything, from the smallest daily tweaks to those massive strategic shifts. So, to get started, we really need to understand what makes a managerial decision so unique and so consequential. It's a whole different ballgame than just, picking what to have for lunch. See, a managerial decision isn't just about picking an option from a list. It's about commitment. You're committing your team, your budget, maybe even your professional reputation to a specific path forward. And usually, you're doing it without a crystal ball. That element of commitment, that's what gives it so much weight.
When you look at these four things together, you really see the weight of the job. You're committing the entire organization, often with limited time or money. Your choice is going to impact a whole web of people, from your employees to your customers. And the consequences? Yeah, they're going to ripple out for a long, long time. No pressure, right?
All right, let's dive in. Here's the journey we're going to take. We'll start with the basics, then we'll map out the different kinds of decisions you'll face. After that, we'll look at an ideal process, face the messy reality of it all, and then finish up with some concrete ways you can get better at this.
Okay, so before you can make a good decision, you kind of need a mental map of the terrain. It's absolutely crucial to understand what kind of decision you're actually facing.
This right here is the first and most fundamental distinction you have to make. Are you dealing with a programmed decision? Something routine, with clear rules, like reordering office supplies. Or is it non-programmed, the messy stuff? The stuff that's totally new, unstructured, where there's no playbook, like deciding whether to enter a new market. Just knowing which of those two buckets you're in is the first step to choosing the right tools for the job.
And this table adds another brilliant layer. Just look across the columns. Are you making a big, long-term strategic choice that affects the whole company? Or maybe a medium-term tactical one for your specific department? Or is it an operational decision about what needs to get done today? Each level here requires a completely different mindset.
So, now that we have a map of the decision landscape, we need a compass, a reliable process to guide you, especially when you're navigating totally uncharted territory.
And this six-step model, well, this is that ideal path. It's a really structured way to make sure you don't skip a critical stage, from that first moment of realizing a decision is needed, all the way through to learning from the outcome. Think of it as your checklist for clarity.
Now, out of all those steps, step 2 is where most people get tripped up. It is so easy to focus on the obvious symptom, like, say, constantly late deliveries, instead of diagnosing the true root cause. That might be an unreliable supplier, or even a flawed scheduling process. Getting that diagnosis right changes the entire game.
That ideal process is a fantastic guide, but let's be honest, the real world is messy. So we have to acknowledge how decisions are actually made in the trenches, not just how they look in a textbook.
And this brings us to the incredible work of Nobel laureate Herbert Simon. He came up with this profound insight that just perfectly explains the gap between that clean, rational model and our very messy reality. He noticed that we don't search forever for the perfect solution. Nope, we search until we find something that's simply good enough.
He called this core concept bounded rationality. It's a simple idea, but it's so powerful. We aren't supercomputers. We're rational, sure, but only within certain limits. The limits of the info we have, the brain power we can spend, and the time on the clock.
So here's the crucial takeaway from all this. We don't always optimize. We don't always find that single perfect choice. More often than not, we satisfice, which is this brilliant mashup of satisfy and suffice. We choose the first option that's good enough to solve the problem at hand. And you know what? In a fast-moving world, that's often an incredibly smart and adaptive strategy.
Okay, so we know the ideal model, and we know the messy reality. How can you actively improve the quality of your decisions starting, today? Let's get practical. These 7 strategies are basically your new toolkit. Seriously, think of this as a pre-flight checklist before you make any important choice. For instance, look at the 3rd and 4th points. Seek diverse perspectives and beware of common biases. Those two are totally linked. If you only talk to people who already agree with you, all you're doing is feeding your own confirmation bias.
Running through this whole list forces you to be more rigorous, and it makes your final decision instantly more robust.
And it is so important to remember, this whole framework isn't just for those huge, once-a-year strategic decisions. Not at all. It applies to the daily ones too. How you respond to a tricky email, how you handle a small request for resources. These small decisions, when they add up, are exactly what builds your team's culture. And ultimately, they define you as a leader.
As you go forward from here, the single most powerful step you can take is just building self-awareness. So think about it. Confirmation bias, overconfidence, anchoring on the first piece of information you hear. Which one will you consciously watch out for tomorrow? Because that is how real improvement actually begins.